The wineglass exploded against the tile at her feet. Conversations died. Forks hovered. Table 5 went quiet as the man in the navy suit stared up at her and said, "Get me something drinkable and get your hands off my table." Josie didn't flinch. She set the cracked tray on the empty chair, folded the towel into a square and said no. His nostrils flared. His bodyguard rose a half-inch. The manager hustled over, plastering on a smile that shook. "Mr. Cross, so sorry." "We'll take care of." "Don't," Josie said, eyes still on the man. "He threw glass at me." Nathan Cross smiled without warmth. "Do you know who I am?" "A grown man making a mess," Josie said. "Find another server." A busser froze with a stack of plates. A couple by the window put their phones down. The room held its breath like it expected lightning. The manager hissed, "Josie, kitchen now." Josie didn't move. "Apologize to the busser you shoved. Then maybe you get water." The man leaned back and shrugged. "You're fired." He took out his wallet, not even looking at her. A thick billfold, the kind that had never known a bounced check. He thumbed a card free, glanced down, and something slipped out. A small, worn photograph slid onto the white tablecloth and drifted to the edge, right by the broken stem of the glass. Josie's eyes snagged on it. A woman on a stool at a counter. She was laughing at something off camera, hair falling over one eye. A baby on her hip, wrapped in a blanket with little blue whales. Behind them, a neon clock, cheap, familiar. Josie knew that clock. It hung 5 feet away, still blinking 2:17 even when it was. Josie reached down and picked up the photo. The paper had gone soft at the corners. The woman wore a tiny silver locket shaped like a half moon. Josie's fingers flew to her throat. Her locket always sat warm against her skin, half a moon, its hinge worn smooth. It had been her mother's. Her mother had kissed it and told her stories that had always ended in a shrug. He was just a boy. He had a different life. She had a baby to raise. She didn't have a photo. She had burned the letters. That was all the story Josie ever got. The man at the table reached for the photo. "That's mine." Josie held it out of reach. "Where did you get this?" "Hand it back," he said, sharp. The bodyguard took a step forward. The manager took 2 steps back. "Where?" Josie repeated. Nathan Cross glanced at the locket at her throat. The look was quick, but it landed like a match. Something changed in his face, almost invisible. His chin lifted. He attempted casual, failed. "You're in the way of my lunch." Josie didn't hear him. The neon clock in the photo sat crooked on the wall behind her mother's head, that scratch on the counter by the register. The sugar jar with the chipped lid shaped like a rooster. This wasn't any diner. This was this diner. 24 years ago, maybe 25, her mother had worked these same tiles and told jokes about regulars who tipped in pocket change. "Mr. Cross," the manager said, sweating now. "Free appetizer, of course." Josie is she's overly protective. She means well. "This conversation is over," Nathan said. "It's not," Josie said. "That's my mom." His jaw hardened. He held out his hand for the photo, palm up, impatient like always getting what he wanted. When Josie didn't give it, he snapped. "Do your job or go home." "Josie," the manager warned, desperation creeping in. "Please." Josie didn't look away from him. "Her name is April." It hung there, 1 second, 2. The bodyguard stopped moving. The assistant in the tan trench coat who'd been typing without looking up went still. Nathan breathed out. It wasn't much, but it was real. He dropped his hand, and the arrogance that lived in his posture flickered. No one moved. He reached the smallest bit and touched the edge of the photograph like it might burn him. "April," he said, so soft some people at the neighboring table leaned in without meaning to. Then he added, still quiet, "April loved that rooster jar." The manager blinked. "You know her?" Nathan didn't answer him. He looked at Josie. Really looked. Not at the apron, not at the scuffed floor behind her, not at the order pad in her pocket. He looked at her eyes, same shape as the woman S in the photograph. He looked at the half moon at her neck. "Bring me coffee," he said, but it sounded like surrender. 2 sugars, then bring whatever you think is edible." Josie didn't move right away. "You heard the man," the manager whispered, stunned and suddenly hopeful. Josie turned and went. She took the long way around the counter so she could touch the rooster jar on the shelf. The lid still stuck if you didn't wiggle it first. Her hands weren't steady. In the kitchen, Tito lifted a brow. "You alive?" "In a minute," Josie said. She grabbed a fresh cup and the good coffee, not the burned pot. She poured it, added 2 sugars without asking, and slid the saucer onto the tray. She set down a bowl of the tomato basil she liked because it didn't taste like it came from a can. She stepped back to the table. She set the coffee in front of him. He watched her hands carefully, as if the act of placing a cup on a saucer could tell him a secret. "Thank you," he said. No bravado. She didn't say "you're welcome." "Not yet." He lifted the cup, took a sip, and nodded once like he approved of being told what he liked. He set the cup down with care. "What do you want?" Josie asked. The assistant cut in. "Mr. Cross has a 12:15. We're out of time." Nathan didn't look away from Josie. "Cancel it." The assistant hesitated. Nathan's eyes flicked up and the assistant moved away, phone already pressed to his ear. Nathan tapped the photograph. "That day," he said to it, not to her. "Your mother made fun of my tie, said it looked like a cheap curtain." She was right. Her ties were always crooked, Josie said. She shrugged them off her shoulders and said they looked like snakes. The corner of his mouth twitched. She did that. She always did that. Silence. It could have stretched into something stiff. It didn't. Josie set the soup down. Eat, she said, then talk. He obeyed. A spoonful, another, no theatrics. The room couldn't decide if it should go back to normal. It didn't. The manager hovered, stunned, grateful, afraid. The busser hovered too, glancing at the broken glass. Nathan put his spoon down and looked at the busser. I'm sorry I shoved you. That was out of line. The busser's name was Miguel. He nodded, confused. Okay, come back in an hour, Nathan said to the manager. I want to talk about buying this place. The manager blinked. We what? Nathan looked at Josie again. If you're still here, he said, sit with me after your shift. Her shift didn't end for 6 hours. She didn't say that. She said, you have somewhere more important to be. No, he said, which was either a lie or a choice. Josie moved on to table 6, refilled water, brought extra napkins. Ordinary things felt like tightropes. She checked on Nathan only when she had to. He ate. He drank coffee slowly. He looked around with the expression of someone taking inventory of ghosts. When the lunch rush crested, she made space. She let the assistant try to draw his attention and watched him wave him off. She saw the bodyguard stand down. She saw him pull out the photo twice more and stare at it like he was trying to force years to make sense. At one point, Josie's manager pulled her into the hallway by the freezer. What is happening? You're selling, Josie said. I've been trying to sell for a year, the manager said. No bites. He has a reputation. He buys what he wants. Josie's jaw worked. He can't have this. He can have anything, the manager said, equal parts warning and wonder. He's Nathan Cross. Josie went back to work. At 2:40, the dining room thinned. Nathan had not moved. Several people had taken photos when they thought he wasn't looking. Some had taken photos when he was. He hadn't flinched. Josie approached the table again and set down a pie slice because he'd paid for a slice for every other guest who'd come in after the glass had shattered. It was the kind of thing rich people did to clean up after themselves. It didn't erase anything. She set the plate down anyway. It looks terrible, he said. It is, she said. Try it. He did. He didn't pretend to like it. He smiled at how bad it was. That was something her mother would have done. He lifted his eyes. What's your name? Josie, she said. He waited, a question in the shape of a silence. She shook her head. You first. He accepted the rule. Nathan. She nodded. Nathan, she said, testing it. Her mother had never said his name, not once. Only sometimes, when a song came on at closing with a certain guitar, she'd stand in the doorway and look at nothing with a look that wasn't quite sad. Josie had always filled in the blank with a cartoon villain. Rich boy with soft hands, gone by morning. Nathan tapped the edge of the photo again. Your mother and I met here, he said. My father sent me to fire the owner. I sat at this table and April told me I was sitting in the wrong section. She brought me coffee anyway. Josie kept her face still. She called me pretentious, he said. Also correct. She told me if I was going to ruin people's lives, I should at least learn to make a sandwich. I stayed until closing and learned to make 2. Josie's throat burned, but she didn't touch it. He kept his story short. I came back every day for a week, then every weekend. My father found out and moved me across the country. I sent letters. Your mother wrote too. Then she stopped. I thought she was done with me. He paused. I kept that photo in my pocket anyway. Why didn't you call? Josie asked. She didn't have a phone, he said. She never wanted one. She said it made people find you when you weren't ready. That sounded exactly like April. It twisted something behind Josie's ribs. He reached into his wallet and pulled out another card, not a credit card. A wrinkled receipt. She circled a date, said if I came back on that day, we would talk. I came and she didn't. My mom got sick, Josie said, and the words were rocks in her mouth, jagged at the edges. She didn't go anywhere for 2 months. Even the register woman didn't see her. She had me in this booth because the back was too cold. He closed his eyes for a second that was too raw to look at. He opened them again and made them businesslike by force. Your mother wrote a 3rd letter, he said. I didn't get it. She never said, Josie said. The assistant hovered at a distance, helpless and out of his depth. Nathan's gaze moved to the locket. May I? She hesitated, then lifted it free. Half a moon. He turned it over with the care of someone touching a live wire. He pressed his thumb to the hinge and popped it. Inside, the tiny black and white photo was faded, a sliver of a face cut off by the curve of the metal. A man's jaw, a tie too wide. He swallowed. She kept it. She said it was silly, Josie said. She wore it every day anyway. He nodded. He handed it back. Do you live with April? She died 5 years ago, Josie said. 17 surgeries, 1 victory dance in a hospital hallway. She rented a room close by so she could come to work during her good days. She stapled fake ferns to the fence because the landlord wouldn't let her put up real ones. Nathan's knuckles went white. You came to the funeral? Josie asked. He shook his head. I didn't know, of course, she said, and there was an edge to it. He absorbed the cut and didn't defend himself. Did she tell you? She never said your name, Josie said. She said he had a nice laugh and a mean family. He winced. Accurate. A phone buzzed. The assistant looked like he might go stand in the road just to get hit by a truck and end the afternoon. He looked at Nathan like a drowning man looks at a life preserver. Nathan didn't glance at him. What do you want from me, Josie? Respect, she said, for starters. Done, he said, and meant it. And the busser, she said. His name is Miguel. Learn it. Say you're sorry again. Say it to his face. Not because people are watching, because he earns it. I will, he said. And don't buy this place to bulldoze it, she said. Don't turn it into a glass cube. He didn't smile. It would be an ugly cube, he said. I'm not buying it to bulldoze. I came here because someone sent me a listing and I didn't believe it was the same place. He glanced at the photo. I wasn't sure it was real anymore. She folded her arms. You have 3 people who could have looked it up. I wanted to see it, he said, and I wanted to see if the clock still didn't keep time. He reached into his jacket and pulled out an envelope more beat up than a billionaire should own. He slid it across the table. Inside, a letter in April's looping, messy hand. The paper was yellowed, the corners smudged. Josie grabbed it without asking. She recognized the loops in the A, the way April always forgot to dot her I's until the bottom of the page and then came back with a flurry of dots at the end like confetti. Her mother's voice unrolled in sentences that were blunt and brave. He got the letter. He hadn't read it yet. She gave that to you? Josie asked. I found it, he said. Where? He looked toward the register, the rooster jar. Josie's head snapped toward the counter. The jar sat dull in the afternoon light. She had spun that lid 1,000 times. Sugar, packets, loose tea bags. She had never checked the bottom. She taped a second envelope under the lid, he said, watching her. It wasn't for me. It had your name on it. Josie's legs moved without orders. She crossed the floor, lifted the rooster lid, turned it over, and there it was, a cotton ball of old tape stuck to the clay. Her name scrawled across a manila envelope, the writing sloppy, rushed, the way April wrote when her hands were cold. She slid her finger under the flap and felt paper soft like fabric. A photograph. The same one Nathan had, but different. April on the counter, baby on her hip. A man half in frame because he was behind the camera, his tie visible at the very edge. And a note, to my girl. If he ever comes back looking for sugar, tell him he takes 2 and tell him to stay put. He never listened, so you probably have his stubborn. Be kind to him anyway. He's better than the worst thing he's done. The breath left Josie's lungs. She pressed the envelope to her chest like it might try to escape. The room had started breathing again. Forks clinked. Someone laughed. A new couple walked in and asked the host if they could sit by the clock. Life tried to move on while the ground shifted. Josie went back to Nathan with the envelope in her hands. She set it on the table between them. She left this for me. He nodded once. She told me to listen, he said, tapping his own envelope. She told me if I walked away again, I had to do it with my eyes open. Josie didn't sit. She stayed standing because her knees didn't trust the chair. You walked away, she asked. He didn't do the usual billionaire thing of rewriting history mid-sentence. He told the truth. My father walked me out, he said. I let him. I was 21 and weak and thought time would bend for me. I told myself I was protecting her from my world. My world came anyway. Lawyers, gossip, the owner didn't sell. April kept her job, she kept her baby. He blinked and found her face again. You had lawyers, she said. I had cowardice, he said. The assistant approached. Mr. Cross, the board is. Nathan lifted a finger without looking and the assistant shut his mouth. I came back when I had enough spine, Nathan said. She was gone. The owner in those days was angry at me on her behalf. He told me if I set foot in here again, he'd throw me out. He died. Years passed. I told myself there was nothing left to do. He picked up the coffee cup and turned it once, twice like a coin. Why be rude when you walked in? Josie asked, the first day pressing back into the present. You don't get to be cruel and then be soft and hope it comes out balanced. He accepted that. I have been cruel, he said. Not here, not today. I came in ready to spend, not to hurt. Someone brought me bad wine. I forgot other people live in the world. That's not a new problem. There it was, the thing April would have called the core rot with a laugh and a promise to plant flowers anyway. Say you're sorry, Josie said. He pushed back his chair, stood, and walked to where Miguel was rolling silverware near the kitchen door. He didn't send the assistant. He didn't motion. He went. Miguel, he said. Miguel froze like he expected to be fired. I am sorry for earlier, Nathan said. I was wrong. It won't happen again. I'd like to pay for any damage. It's fine, Miguel said, because of course he said it. People like him always had to say it was fine. It wasn't, Nathan said, and I am going to fix it. Miguel blinked. Okay. Nathan returned to the table and didn't sit. He stood there like the room had set a test and he was waiting to see if he passed. Sit, Josie said. He did. Eat the pie, she said. He did. The assistant hovered again because some people didn't know how to stop hovering. Mr. Cross, we really, Nathan looked at him. Take the rest of the day. Pay everyone here double what they made today anonymously. The assistant stared. Sir, use the card, Nathan said, and went back to the pie. Josie checked the clock. She had 4 tables left. A group at table 2 told her quietly that they hadn't recorded anything. She believed them. She brought them more napkins anyway. When her shift finally blunted around the edges and the evening crew drifted in, Nathan was still there. The manager had already cried in the walk-in, twice. Josie slid into the empty chair across from him at 6:15. The dining room had turned over. Music from the back radio trickled through as someone in the kitchen washed lettuce in a sink big enough to bathe an infant. After this, you leave, she said. You go home, you don't call me, you don't send me a car, you don't buy my rent. He accepted the terms like a contract. Okay, You come back tomorrow, she said. You order coffee and a sandwich. You sit where I can see you. You tip 20%, no more. You show up for a week. If I decide to talk to you after that, you'll know. His eyes searched her face, hunting for the trap. There wasn't one, there were boundaries. That was new in his world. Okay, he said. If you lie to me once, you don't come back, she said. I won't, he said. You will, she said, because everyone did, but not about this. He nodded, not about this. They sat and didn't talk for a minute. He watched the neon clock tick wrong. She watched the way his ring finger twitched when someone dropped a tray in the kitchen. He reached into his jacket and pulled out a checkbook so old-fashioned it was almost funny. I can make the rent on this place go away, he said. I can buy it and put it in a trust, not for me, for you, for April. With your manager as a partner, the staff gets a cut, you put up real ferns. Josie shook her head. Ask first. I am, not me, she said. Ask the people who have stayed, the dishwasher who's here till midnight, the baker who comes at 4. Ask Miguel. If they want you involved, you write your check. If they don't, you eat your sandwich and you learn where the mop lives. His mouth twitched. I'd prefer the check. She gave him a look. I'm sure. He unfolded himself from the chair. He looked older than when he came in. He looked lighter too, which didn't seem fair and yet was true. He held out his hand. I'll be here at 8. I'll sit at whatever table you give me. She looked at his hand and let him wait, then she took it. His grip was firm and not performative. One more thing, she said. He stayed still. If you're my father, you say it, she said. Not in a press release, here to me. The room was so quiet she could hear the fizz in someone's soda across the room. He didn't go pale, he didn't go dramatic. He looked like a man who had wanted to say something for so long his mouth had forgotten how. He found it. I am, he said. If you want me to be. If you don't, I'll sit across the room and pretend I'm a stranger who likes bad pie. It hit the center of her like someone had opened a door she didn't know was there, and light came in heated, sharp. Okay, she said. Then you start small. You tell me why you take 2 sugars. He exhaled a laugh that was almost a sigh. Because when I was a kid, my mother had this rule that sugar was for guests. April said she was a guest in my life for one afternoon, so she took a handful and said I was a guest in hers and I should act like it. Josie couldn't help it. She smiled. It surprised both of them. Nathan let go of her hand. He put a 50 under the saucer and then pushed it to her. For the glass, he said. Not for you. Good, she said. He turned to go. He got 3 steps before he remembered something and turned back. He reached for his wallet. He pulled out the photograph. He set it on the table between them. Keep it, he said, if that's okay. Josie slid the photo toward her, not away. She held it up alongside her locket and saw the same sliver of tie, the same curve of a grin she had not known she had memorized. It's okay, she said. Nathan nodded once. He looked like he was about to say a sentence with too many words and then chose none. The assistant trailed after him, finally breathing again. The bodyguard gave Josie a tiny nod like a salute. The door swung closed. The neon clock hummed. Josie stood behind table 5 and stared at the rooster jar. She unscrewed the lid and set the tape back exactly where it had been because rituals mattered. She slid the letter for her into her apron pocket like a secret that could worm its way through cloth. The manager came over, eyes wide. Do we hate him? Josie shook her head. We watch. We could sell, the manager whispered. We could stay, Josie said. We decide. Miguel came by with the broom. He was serious about the double pay, he said, breathless. It hit our accounts already. How? Money, Josie said. Magic, Miguel grinned. You okay? Josie looked at the door where Nathan had been. She put a hand over the locket. Ask me in a week, she said, and went to ring in an order for a BLT. That night, after the chairs were turned upside down and the floor was mopped and Tito turned off the back radio, Josie stood at the counter alone. She opened her envelope. She read it. April's voice spooled out of ink and told her to be brave like she had been when she was born, to choose her own name even if everyone else chose for her, to wear the half moon and remember that the other half was out there even on nights you couldn't see it. It told her that sometimes the wrong people did right things and the right people did wrong ones, and love wasn't a straight line. It was a diner clock that didn't keep time but still told you when to go home. Josie cried without drama, a hand flat on the counter to keep her steady. Then she wiped her face, locked the front door, and took the long way home because the air was good and she needed to name all the streets she could take. Options mattered. At 8 the next morning, Nathan was outside at the corner table. He wore a jacket that cost more than the register. He had no entourage. He had a newspaper he kept turning without reading. Josie set down the coffee without asking. 2 sugars already stirred. He thanked her, then stopped her as she started to walk away. I asked them, he said. The staff, she said. He nodded. I asked if I could help. They made a list. Of course they did, she said. He handed her a folded piece of paper. She glanced at it. New freezer door, leak in the walk-in, dishwasher that didn't shred sponges, health insurance that didn't feel like a joke. She tucked the list in her apron. We'll talk after the breakfast rush, she said. And if you ever throw a glass again, I'll throw you. His mouth found a real smile. Fair. He opened the paper he wasn't reading, and as he did, something else fell out of his wallet. Not a photo, a ticket stub, a memorial program. A folded napkin with April's name written in someone else's careful hand. He looked at it and put it away. He looked at Josie and didn't explain. He didn't need to. Some things could be saved. Some things could only be remembered. He lifted his coffee. He took a sip. He made a small face at the bitterness and then took another sip anyway. Josie moved to the next table. "Good morning," she said to a couple with matching raincoats. "What can I get you?" "We saw online you have a Billionaire now," the man joked. Josie glanced at Nathan. He was messing with a sugar packet absent-mindedly, and when he realized, he put it back like it wasn't his. "Some days," Josie said. "Today you get pancakes." The grill hissed. The bell dinged. The clock hummed wrong and steady. The door swung open and closed. The room filled and emptied and filled again, the way it always had, the way it would tomorrow. At noon, Nathan stood, left the exact 20% and an extra 10 under the saucer ear-marked with a note for Miguel's shoes. "Same time tomorrow," he said. "Same table," she said. He nodded. He looked at the photo she had propped on a shelf behind the counter, right next to the rooster. April looked back at both of them, laughing at something neither of them could remember and both of them could feel. Nathan turned to go. As the door opened, a gust tugged at the paper on the counter and flipped April's letter to the last line. Josie glanced down and read it again, even though she had it memorized now. "P.S. If he refuses your kindness, let him go. If he accepts it, make him earn the rest. Either way, eat something." Josie lifted a mug, poured coffee, added 2 sugars, and took a sip. It was too sweet. She smiled anyway. Then she grabbed an order pad and moved toward the next table, the locket warm against her skin, the half-moon resting where it belonged, the other half finally visible in broad daylight. Not perfect, not easy, but real.